Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christian with PerfectStockAlert.com, a 100% free service for smart investors and traders. All we ask in return, please refer a friend. Today is Monday, December the 10th, 2012. Looking at a few U.S. markets today, starting off with the Wilshire 4500 and EMW ticker symbols right here. You can see that we have been in a downtrend for a good while here, and paying attention to this downtrend. It's very important to work with the trend. However, at this particular point in time, you can see that this high close here has been taken out by today's activity. That means that you are no longer able to say this is in a downtrend. You actually have to argue that you could either have a sideways moving market where you have a lower series of low points and higher series of highs, which would give you a scenario like this, which upslope here to downslope here, that just says sideways moving market. And in that case, you could trade both sides of it, so the next pullback would be obviously a buy opportunity. And in reality, the way I look at this is if we were to get a pullback even after a couple of days the upside and then roll over here if we got close to the fiscal cliff, something like that, this would still create a scenario where I'd want to be a buyer, because you'd have this high point here, this higher high wherever this would land, and then this low point here and a higher low at that point. So that would be in an uptrend at that point in time, and I'd be a buyer of that. So in this particular scenario, when we're looking at this chart, we can't look at this as a bearish scenario any longer. So having said that, let's look at what I am seeing. And this is the first chart in the U.S. markets I'm looking at that it's actually already breaking out and showing an uptrend developing. You will notice that we actually anticipated this bounce here to roll over and then start go lower, at least test this previous low. That didn't happen. Instead, we consolidated. You can see the little pattern we formed right here, little wedge, nice little breakout there to the upside. We marked that as a buy. Somebody asked on the website this weekend, why did I do that with an overbought condition there? On a breakout, you can still make money on that trade. That's why it's that way. You can actually stay overbought for a while. All it's just showing you is momentum. Momentum to the upside is strong here. They can stay that way for a good bit, like you had back here. So again, don't look at this as being the reason to make or buy or sell. Look at the chart, price activity. That's the most important element. There's a chart on our free website at PerfectStockAlert.com talking about the order of operations of trading, and you should definitely watch that if you haven't already. Let's have a quick look at the SPX, the S&P 500 Large Cap Index. You basically see the same overall story going on here. However, this particular chart has not yet broken this previous high, so we're keeping an eye on this. Want to see if we close higher than this point. That would be important to us. And right now, we haven't done that, but we are forming a couple different things that are important to me. You'll notice back here we were in a downtrend. When this trend is going like this, and you have lower series of highs and lower series of lows, you want to work with that trend and short and sell. Another thing about the trend is whenever you find the bottom, you want to look and see, do I have a nice strong hammer candlestick on good volume? When if you don't have that, it means that the bounce is typically something you want to sell because it's going to break through. That's how we need to sell here. And the same situation happens here. We have no strong hammer candlestick on strong volume. We expect this to fall apart. It does. We short. It does. Very nice. Same thing happens here. And again, here we get a different story. We get a strong hammer candlestick formation on strong volume. That told us to buy, expect this to bounce to be a good one, and we make some money. That also tells me that this next pullback that we test here would likely be just a test of it. You'd find support and be a great buy opportunity. What we want to see before that happens is taking out this previous high. That would give us that much more confidence. Right now we haven't done that, but this is still very important. This is a very strong bullish condition. It only happens because buy pressure supersedes sell pressure at that point, so we know that. Then we come up here and we start to think we're going to roll over, so we get short. That doesn't happen. We just consolidate. This forms a nice little wedge formation. Again, a very bullish chart formation here, and we've already broken out to the upside. Again, think about that. Why is this happening? Because buy pressure is very strong, stronger than sell pressure. That's why that's developing. That's why I've marked it as Friday as a buy for today. It's still continuing to move to the upside. Now, the only thing we're missing here is taking out this previous high. That could happen very easily with news on the Fed on Wednesday. No one expects them to make any change. We actually expect them to extend their current policy of printing money like nobody's business. So with that in mind, that will give us that much more move to the upside, and we can easily break out at this point. We haven't done it on the S&P yet, but we are expecting it to happen, and that's why we've gone long and closed out the short position. Another thing to point out here is this would be the first leg here. This is the consolidation phase, and then we look for the second leg, which would be equal to the first in distance. So we measure out the distance from this low point here all the way up to the top of the pattern here, measure that distance out, and you can say, okay, well, we're looking at taking out the previous highs. That's an important little piece of the puzzle there to think about. Now, whenever I'm looking at this, I got to point out that I am looking at this as being, this is what I'm seeing on this chart develop, therefore I'm expecting this to happen. Doesn't mean it has. And the main thing The main thing to point out to you guys here is that you have not actually taken out this high. If you don't take out this high, I am early and I could easily be proven wrong. For example, let's say that markets keep pressing a little bit higher, and then all of a sudden the Fed says, you know what, we're just not going to cut off the money supply. You can go, do whatever you got to do. We would see this thing break down rapidly, and then you would have a still continuation of this high point higher than the previous, and so forth and so on. So we'd still be in that downtrend. Right now, I want to point out that I am very early in this bullish perspective because the trend hasn't actually changed on the S&P. The Russell 2000 Small Cap Index, same basic overall story. We've made lots of money on the downward move, made some money on the bounces on the upside, but what we're looking at right now is this consolidation phase that we've been seeing on a lot of charts. And again, at this previous high, we're keeping an eye on that as well. Right now, we're still drifting to the upside, but we can easily fall back into this little pattern, continue moving sideways. The main thing that I'm pointing out to you guys here is that this consolidation period here doesn't happen unless bulls are willing to bet in favor of a good buy opportunity. And so that's what we're seeing in this market, and that's why I've taken a bullish position. That's why we told you Friday to close short positions today. So that is all very important for those of you guys who are looking for overall direction. Now, it's important to also point out, this is a guessing game. There is no way to anticipate looking at the charts whether or not we're going to go over the fiscal cliff or not. If we go over the fiscal cliff, this market's going to break down. If we don't, if they resolve it, we're going to shoot to the upside. And anybody who tells you what's going to happen based on the charts, they can't actually do that. You can have false bullish setups, you can have false bearish setups. So there's no way to look at the charts to anticipate what politicians are going to do. No one knows what politicians are going to do. They don't know what they're going to do. It's just whoever pays them the most, I guess. The XOI oil index is always a good little indicator to look at when you're looking at how people feel about the overall economy. You can see we are doing the same consolidation phase with a breakout here. So we've got this little pattern here. That's why we marked it as a buy, because he had broken out of that. And again, with the same little overall uptrend going on right there. You can see that we are, again, showing buy pressure is strong here and a nice hammer candlestick formation off the low. Everything here would indicate you can be a buyer here, even though we have not yet taken out this high point here or closed higher than this high close here. So I'm anticipating that to happen. That's why we have this as a buy signal here, anticipating a move up here to this level. You also notice the nice tightening pattern of the bullish Bollinger Bands here. That's a great place for a breakout. And the main important thing to point out here is this is all speculation as long as we don't have a trend change. A trend change would require that you take out highs. So right now I'm anticipating, based on what I'm seeing right here, bullish chart patterns, nice bottom signal here, I'm calling this as being a point that would be actually reversing, but it hasn't happened yet. That's the most important thing to remember. The NASDAQ is actually the one chart in the US that hasn't broken out of its little bullish chart pattern. We can see this little formation going on. We're just still in this consolidation range. I guess you could say the Russell hasn't either, but the main thing here is that the NASDAQ, you would expect it to show some strength, and it actually hasn't yet. It's still consolidating. So keep an eye on this. We can continue to move sideways for a while, but as we get closer to the Fed announcement, I expect we will get a breakout here. And then again, we're going to be watching this high point right here. Last but not least, let's look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This was the first one to break out of a sort of bullish chart pattern formation. Again, we saw the nice bounce here on strong volume, a nice move to the upside here, shooting star. We expected a roll over here, didn't happen. We just continued this consolidation period, and then we broke out to the upside. This is important because, again, it tells you that there's a lot of buy pressure there, and this is important because it tells you the strength of the downtrend is obviously growing weaker here, even though it has yet to break, meaning by taking out the previous high. Even a close higher than this point here would be very important, because it would indicate that we are stronger than we used to be, and I would at that point mark the chart as being a broken downtrend. So that's again important. And in this particular case, I'm not long. I could see why somebody else is. It's just too overextended for me before I wanted to get long. So by the time I recognized what was going on, it had already passed me by. We're at this day here. I would want to get involved on the breakout here. So I'm letting this one go without me. If we get a pullback, I wouldn't expect much more below this actual previous resistance line would now be acting as support, and that is assuming, of course, that we don't go over the fiscal cliff, at which point, if we were to do that, we could see a much bigger drop. The takeaway from today's video is simple. We haven't broken the downtrend yet. We are quickly approaching doing so. But right now, the most important element for you to pay attention to is the fact that you are seeing a strong bullish condition here, a strong bullish condition here, and you're reaching up to test this high. I don't see any reason why you cannot take that out. If you've not been to the free website at perfectstockalert.com, it's right there. It's 100% free, and all we ask in return, please refer a friend. As always, I want to point out these charts, as well as many other, are kept on our free website. Updated every single day with my notations, as well as my advanced stop loss limits and different signals that I see for different charts I see that I would like to buy, and so forth and so on. So check them out. God bless. Take care. See you in the next one. Please take a moment to review our disclaimer. The information provided herein is our opinion only. Under no circumstances do any statements here represent a recommendation to buy or sell securities or make any kind of an investment. You are responsible for your own due diligence. To summarize, we do not provide investment advice, nor do we make any claims or promises that any information here will lead to a profit, loss, or any other result. These videos are for educational purposes only.